Affordable WordPress hosting for local business owners. What really works? Hi, I'm David Grubb from Shepherd's Loft, web design agency. And today I really want to talk through WordPress hosting and whether a small business or local business should consider using a big corporation WordPress hosting company, or if they need someone like a local web design agency that can do those other things. And so there's oftentimes there's a big price difference, and we want to talk through that. What's the advantages and the disadvantages of the local guy versus the big corporations? So let's have a great discussion today on that. Some of the topics that we're going to cover is why local businesses need that professional, reliable WordPress hosting. Also, we're going to talk about the role that an affordable WordPress hosting can take in the online success for that local business. And also, in this process, we want to help you try to avoid, make the right decision and avoid a bad one. So, local businesses need quality WordPress hosting. And the main reason here is because your website is kind of your storefront. It's open 24/7. It's always there. Yes, some basic things. You want maximum uptime. You want reliability, but you also need support and security for that. It has a huge impact on your local SEO. Your mobile speed is important, and also you're trying to build that customer support, so you need that reliability as well. Affordable hosting is really kind of comes down to a smart choice, right? So what is important about what you need for your website for WordPress hosting? And we're going to talk through that a little bit more today. Okay, so just to kind of get some of the basics out of the way, just straight out of the box. WordPress hosting itself. So these are the actual things that we're looking at. We're looking at security, mobile, and how effective it is. If it's secure, it needs to be clean, secure, protected, and backed up. We've talked about having the HTTPS, a secure socket layer. It needs to be mobile friendly. And this really comes down to the WordPress theme that you're using, and that is selection process can also be challenging, but you want to consider that up front when you're doing the hosting. Some WordPress hosting companies actually allow you to use a theme. They have a theme for you to use, so you want to take a close look at that. Then also you want to make sure it's fast, it's worry-free, and you get the support that you need. Weekly cleaning, spam comments, revisions, and database table overload. We really want to keep those websites clean. So is there a management process in place to keeping it clean and running fast? Worry-free, you want to make sure that all the upgrades are happening. Is your hosting provider going to do that for you, or is it something that a local web designer or WordPress hosting company that will do for you? And we can talk about the difference there. So these are upgrades to the PHP, the WordPress core, the database, the theme, and the plugins. So there's a lot of upgrades that go on, and some of these are on a daily basis, like the plugins, and some of them happen over a period of years. Your PHP. So you're looking at the core and the PHP, which are 6 months or a year apart, but they're extremely important to the lifespan of your website. And then the hosting support really is it a break fix? Is it okay? We are extremely focused on just repairing the website when it breaks, and so we're reactive versus being proactive. So is the WordPress hosting company actively improving and upgrading the WordPress website, or are they just responsive and they just answer the phone and fix things when you need them, which is always important, but is that the deciding factor? Would you rather have a little more interaction and proactivity with your WordPress hosting company, or would you just rather them just wait for you to ask for something? Okay, so those are all very basic WordPress hosting options that you should consider. and that's why they're important. Some other things, the other things to consider are, your domain, email, and DNS management services. Some of this gets kind of technical, but does the web design company uh, offer these other abilities? A lot of them allow you to do this yourself, right? So that can get quite complex when you don't know how to manage DNS records. So is it an additional service that they can offer, or is it strictly do it yourself? Sometimes when it's a do it yourself situation with a WordPress hosting company, if and you just add email, a lot of those records are added automatically, but not always. So how do you even check to know that you need help in that area? So this is where a local web designer or a local WordPress hosting company can really help you figure those things out and dial in things. So we believe that the website is really the focus of your marketing, whereas because it's your 24-hour machine, it's always online, it's always working, and it's kind of the core of what you're doing. And then your social media is kind of your promotional, and then even your ads, right? So that's where you're shouting out and you're bringing people back to the website to capture that lead or to make a purchase, right? So those are all very important aspects of WordPress hosting. But again, when the website is the core, you need it to function correctly, and you need the company that you're with to be able to reach out and do these other extensions of what's connected to your website. Your matching email address with your website, it needs to match so you can get email delivery. You got to have a domain to set it up, and you got to connect the domain to the website. Is that WordPress hosting company going to be able to do those other technical aspects there? Okay. So the next topic we want to talk about is management tools, and this kind of goes back into the daily operations of what's going on. uh, is the WordPress hosting company going to automatically run those updates for you, or is it something that you got to do yourself? Let's be honest. If we're not doing this every single day and we forget about it, days go by, weeks go by, months go by, and that creates a real security issue for your website. So having some management tools to update. Now, WordPress has introduced automatic WordPress updates, but there's a little bit of danger there. What if one plugin updates and it conflicts with another? Then how are you going to resolve that issue? If it's on autopilot, which ones upgraded at that moment and which ones didn't, So knowing some of that information on the back will help you determine which plugin is not behaving correctly. So when you automate that process, you lose kind of that insight of what's going on, and it takes more effort to solve those problems. Again, there's the differences between a big corporate hosting company. They might be responsive and say, okay, they figure out this plugin is the problem, and they just say, okay, we'll just remove that. And that it's simple. But no, you may need that feature for your website in order to function. So having tools to be able to run those updates and kind of tracking what's going on is very important. Your backups, that needs to be completely automated. So again, is your WordPress hosting company going to automate those backups and be able to restore the website or correct it if it needs to? And staging environments is something that a few of the larger WordPress hosting companies have offered. They offer a one-click, clone your website to be able to do some testing on, and that's something that we also have a process here at Shepherd's Loft that we're able to make copies of websites to set them up for testing. So that gives us a unique ability, to help customers to be able to stage things up and figure out, what features they need in their website. Security scans, scans are really great if you think that you're having a problem or if things are, acting kind of weird. So the best approach here, again, is going to be that preventive maintenance. What kind of security are you putting in place that's going to prevent any kind of so if you're running all your updates and you have a secure socket layer, then you can prevent a lot of that up front, as opposed to just being able to having to scan your website to check to see if it's got viruses in it. Um, Dashboard integrations. This is a very technical topic here, but I want to touch on it because I've just recently learned that some of the larger hosting companies have typically used cPanel or WHM, which some of them have reached their inner life. At Shepherd's Loft, we've always kind of ran a bare bones operation. We do use Server Pilot in order to install the WordPress website, but we don't have that middle layer in between the actual server and the WordPress website itself. So if you think of that as in layers, you have your server, and then on top of that, you might have a control software, which is, this is 20, it's been many years. The cPanel and WHM is very, very old. It's technology that's been around for 15, 20 years, and it's outdated, right? So the less software that you have in between your server and your WordPress install, the better and the safer and the more secure it's going to be. The more reliable it's going to be, the less security issues there are, and that's the way Shepherd's Loft operates its hosting. Okay, updating schedule, notifications. So we run those updates every single day for the plugins, and then we look at when the PHP upgrades are going to roll out. We time those in with the core. So that's another big difference for local service versus the big corporations. So let's talk about some of the common mistakes when choosing a WordPress hosting company. I understand that when you're a startup, you really want to just kind of get in there and get going. That's perfectly understandable. So I think you need to consider, where am I at in the stage and development of my business? Am I in startup mode? Am I in the first year or 2 years of my business, or I'm just trying to concept out a business? And that might be a good opportunity to maybe look at, okay, what is the cheapest website hosting out there? Let me be able to put something together and actually see if my idea is going to look okay. So a lot of times, you can write things or draw things out and take a look at it and see if it's going to work. Well, you could do the same thing with a website, right? So if you have some cheap hosting, you can go out, you can put something together that goes, yes, okay, I feel like this is what my service. And a lot of times when you're building a business, it's an iterative process, right? So you have this idea and that idea and another idea, right? But you got to take one and you got to cultivate it. So, if oftentimes in a startup mode, it's important to, it may be appropriate to get the cheapest hosting out there to get started, so you can start to visualize your plan. The faster you can do that, the better. So I wholeheartedly agree in that. But then once you get your business going, if you're starting to process payments, or you're wanting to start process payments or capture leads through there, and you need notifications to be reliable. You need your email delivery from the website forms to be reliable. So that's when you really got to start considering, okay, is the cheapest WordPress hosting the best option for me at this time in the growth of my business? And so you want to get in there and really consider the financial cost. Is it worth, how much is one customer worth? Is it worth losing or not getting a notification from my website, for the value of that customer? And when you're really getting started, every single customer that you get, every lead that you get, or every sale that you make is extremely important, because you're trying to get a foothold and get your business started. So that's when you really got to start looking at, okay, can I afford something better or faster or more secure? So that's when you want to start looking at that. So I was just looking at the notes here. A couple of things. Um, in the responsibility, the responsiveness, and local availability. Check and see if there is somebody that's local to you, and what other additional services they can. So Shepherd's Loft offers a WordPress hosting price comparison. So we can walk through this. Um, we really want to be able to help businesses grow and succeed, and in order to do that, we have to kind of take a backseat and look at a practical, what's actually going to work for this business. Um, and I can give some examples here. Um, a real estate agent may be, just getting started, and it's a highly competitive market. So Shepherd's Loft might not make very much sense. Maybe they do want to get something that's really cheap, and get going, cheap hosting, and or if, again, and then when they're in startup mode, but at what point do they need help, right? So you reach this technical ceiling. So there's two things here. Not to get off topic, we're talking about price. So we offer the opportunity. So if you're growing your business, we can help you scale up. We can look and see, okay, what other features do you need your website? Let's do a budget review. Look at the cost of your WordPress hosting. Let's look at the money that you're spending on plugins. And then also third-party services. What are you spending on other third-party services? And then all of a sudden, you realize that you have two, three, four, half a dozen different bills for email, DNS services, plugins, themes. So bill consolidation becomes an issue because you have so many different vendors that you're working with to be able to pull those prices for. And as a single business, you're going to pay a premium cost, a premium price for single licenses. And that's where a web design agency is going to have an advantage. They're going to be able to lower your cost and give you more features for less money. So again, Shepherd's Loft can do that evaluation for you and help you figure out where you are in the evolution of your business and your spending of that business for your online marketing. And scaling up is a real important issue, right? So you're just getting started, you need something that costs almost nothing, but then as you grow, you need to be scale up. You're going to have more and more technical services that you're going to need assistance with. You're going to need additional features for your website. So then your bill consolidation becomes an issue, and you don't want anything to expire, because that's something that you got to go back and you got to find out and you got to renew. Even with domain names, consolidating your billing there is really important, because it's 15, $20 a year. But if your domain name doesn't get renewed, your entire online presence is down. Your email doesn't work, your website doesn't work, you don't get leads, you don't process payments. So it's extremely important to keep track of all of those things. And again, as your business grows and expands, that's when you really need to consider, okay, do I need a web design agency or a local web designer that's going to help me with my business? And then the last part of that component is also, just the labor intensity, right? As your customer base grows, you're going to be more focused on running the business instead of working in the business. And that's another good time to consider having an agency to help you get some of that work done. So I hope that this gives you a practical understanding of when you should consider a local WordPress hosting company that's an agency versus, okay, I'm just going to get the cheapest WordPress hosting that's out there. It really is a constant, evaluation of where you are in the growth of your business and the needs and the things that your website needs in order to engage your customers. So, we really talked about some of those premium plugins. Something that Shepherd's Loft offers is we offer those premium contact forms, email delivery, caching tools. So there's a lot of plugins, and I've got a page here, and you can take a look. And even for some of the businesses that are that should consider using a local WordPress hosting web design agency, is cabin rentals and or services, business services. And I use business and services, so if you have a landscape business or a construction business or anything where you're on site each day, then you're not going to really have the time to focus and look at your website. And that's where someone like a local web design agency is going to be helpful. It may not be the most affordable, but it's going to allow you to leverage your time the most. So that is another advantage of having a partner, if you will, to be able to help take care of your website, analyze it, make sure you're doing preventive maintenance, and then also having the time to do website updates. So those are all some really big advantages. So we work with Shepherd's Loft. We work with a lot of premium plugins, and they can help you do some of those things. Again, if you're a cabin rentals company, then we can help you get set up to rent those cabins out online, and we've got some examples in our portfolio. And last, here's the real value of what we're talking about. Here's some of our goals. We want the average web design grade to be 90 or above. We're sitting at an 89, which is an average of all of our customers here at Shepherd's Loft. And so that speaks to the quality of the design, the security, the SEO, the performance, and the mobile view. So all of those things are really important to us, and we help monitor and manage and review those with each website. Another goal of ours is an average SEO score of more than 90. You can see we're sitting at 90.3. This is for customers that are on the business level or higher, so business, enterprise, or platinum level service, because that's where we offer our SEO services on those. It's not provided with just a basic plan. And then our other goal is just an average website speed of 3 or lower. We're a little bit high at 3.5, but again, we are striving to check the performance, the actual speed of the websites that we manage. Again, this requires us, the customer, to have a performance plan or higher, which is really website changes. So if we have a contract in place in order to do website changes, then we can continue to work on that performance, and we don't really need to wait for a request, right? We will go in and scan them and make improvements every year. So these are some of our goals, and this is the really value of having a local web designer, a local web design agency that's being proactive in the maintenance of the WordPress hosting and proactive in increasing the speed, the performance, and the mobility of your website. We mentioned this before, but also the growth, right? So you got to do what you got to do to get started. But once your business starts growing and you have less time and there's more to manage, then partnering with Shepherd's Loft can be a real advantage, because we can help you keep an inventory of your online assets. And as you grow, we can also advise, we can increase your WordPress hosting plan, we can add performance or SEO plans in place to be able to help your business grow through an online presence. So that's our value and what we offer. You can see our reviews online, and this is our team member. We are a local web design agency. We'll be in business, been in business since 2000, so it's 25 years this year, and we use rural workers to help local businesses. We have a good sized team. We are affordable. We have been doing this a long time, and we want to help you evaluate where you are in the process, and again decide whether we are a good fit or not, and help you be successful in your online marketing. So if you would like a free WordPress hosting evaluation, a budget review, we can do that. You can also get a web design instant quote, which will tell you what recommended WordPress hosting plan you should have. And we hope to hear from you soon, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.